Morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Are we good? Yes. Again, morning to my panelists. Thank you guys for coming today. Well, let's just jump right into it. Now, this is a panel. This is a panel basically for up-and-coming artists, anyone interested in music or arts or performing. We have a bunch of experienced, I call them gentlemen, that have been in the industry for many, many years. Over those years, they've accumulated a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm hoping that they will be able to share some of that with you today during this panel. Okay, so my first question is I'll start with Gordon. Okay, what are some of the things you first need to do to put your music on the market? Like some of the first things, you're a new artist or you've produced some material and you have a body of work. What are some of the first things you need to think about or do to put that music out on the market?
That's a good question. As you know, the industry's changed a lot with online streaming, YouTube. There's so many different ways to get your music out there. And that's the critical thing is don't wait for a record deal. Don't wait for that, the golden horseshoe. Do it yourself. So get your music together, get your promo together, get your package together. It's super easy to build a website. Start building your own credibility, build your own people, build your own following, and get your music out there. You hear it all the time. Discovery, discovery, discovery. If you're hitting it, if you're getting hits, if your music's out there, someone will notice and that'll elevate you. So I would just say engage as though you have made it and do the things that you need to do that and just keep pushing forward.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Gordon. I'm going to move over to Kemo. Is there any tips you can add?
Schmoozing, I think. I'm not gonna mention the name, but there's one guy from this city that is an incredible schmoozer.
Right.
And like he's gotten himself through some amazing doors that I'm just like, wow. So his ability to hustle and just kind of like get himself into rooms and just vibe with these other artists and have them be like, hey, yo, yeah, let's collaborate. This guy has an incredible amount of collaborations that I've never seen anyone in this city do.
So networking is definitely
his
very
networking
important
is
piece.
incredible. So if you can just, if you have, some people don't, it's a talent.
Yes.
Honestly, that in itself is a talent. So if you can cultivate that talent, like that's gonna help you.
Awesome. Anything to add, Henry?
I was just going to say, to be the person that people want to have in the room. That way, they always see you coming, and they enjoy to see you. They smile when you come in the room, and they give you much more love because they figured they already know you. You felt so good to them. They want to know who you are and give you whatever they got coming for you.
Awesome. That's a good tip. Thank you for that, guys. We're going to move to our next question, and this is going to be a little bit more related to the money side. So, how can then, after we've kind of figured out what we're going to do with our product and get it packaged and we're developing our brand now as an artist, how do we now monetize that? Right, Kemo, how do we start to monetize our product now that we've got it packaged?
I'm sure Gordon has way better answers than I do. But how do you monetize?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways, but again, I think you have to make some of those connections, right? Like it could be through TV, video, obviously streaming. It's like you got to get into the millions before you see anything. Doing shows, making people want to have you at their shows. You know what I'm saying? Like all these things, but there's so many things before that have to be done before you can make money, I feel.
Got it.
I think Gordon might have better answers.
Yeah. Throw some things in the
So I'll jump in on that. So everything Kemo said, 100%. But the industry has changed. Deals are no longer what they used to be. So where is the money? The money these days, as Kemo said, streaming. You can have 1 billion streams and make $300 at the end of the year. So that's not really an outlet. Shows.
Shows
is where it's at.
Live
I don't care who you are, how high you are. If you can go out there and get your own merch, get your shows going on, that's really where the monetization goes. The album is almost like a calling card, if you know what I mean. It's advertisement to say who you are and what you do, but make sure that you can perform a killer show, and that way you can get into lots of venues and actually start monetizing what you own versus what's being licensed and leveraged across something on a label.
Well, let me finish that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things is that if you just said you've made the product, and what are you going to do with that product? So that product, once you've had that product in your hand and you've created the CD, the album, whatever you've created, you make sure you make the t-shirts, the hats, and everything. So when you go to do a show, if you're only selling 50 tickets, you make sure those 50 people buy what you have. You want to monetize your music, you make sure you start making a lot of shows so people want to come and buy your material. That's the biggest thing of all.
So it's basically a slow and steady process of building your brand, building your image and your appearance.
Build that brand.
Now, as a performer, so you're doing live shows, is there anything else that we need to add to that as a performer, or is the rules still apply?
The rules still apply. It's like I perform a lot, so I make sure that I have product in my hand at all times.
At
so
all
I have,
shows.
I'm gonna sell you the CD. I'm gonna sell you the hat. I'm gonna sell you the hoodie. I'm gonna get my pics and make sure that I got the QR code on my pics so that you can find me at any time, any place, wherever I am. So when you see me, you want to know. Oh shit, I remember. Oh yeah, let me go look that up. And that's, I'm not going to, again, he said, I'm not going to make any money on streaming, but I'm going to make money if you keep knowing I'm there and you want to come and see my shows to pay that money and pay for those CDs or pay for those CDs or the hoodies or whatever I've got to sell.
Understood. And now we come to a big question, and I know this is one of the biggest challenges that new artists face, and it's publishing and copyrights. Right? So my question would be then, what are some of the tips or I would say first steps to get your publishing and your copywriting organized as an artist? And for this question, let's start off with Henri for copywriting and publishing. And it's a big topic, yeah?
Well, it is. The first thing to do before you release anything, make sure I think in Vancouver we have SOCAN. SOCAN is affiliated with BMI and ASCAP, which are the U.S. Counterparts of SOCAN. So once you join SOCAN, then you can get your money. You can get paid through BMI and ASCAP or whatever association you plan to. But you got to make sure that you do that before you release the music on any streaming platform so that you can keep getting paid.
Now, what about for live shows? They regulate that as well?
They're supposed to. Don't bank on it, but they're supposed to do that. So if you give them your set list and they're supposed to register everything that you're going to be playing that night and be able to send that in.
It's kind of on each venue. You know what I'm saying? Like Commodore, obviously, because it's such a big, legit venue.
Right.
That they do kind of do that. I'm sure a lot of other smaller venues don't do none of that.
They don't, eh? Got it. Anything to add, Gordon?
Yeah, it's important that you copyright your material. So registering it with a society like SOCAN automatically does that for you, and they do the tracking. And I would say publishing is very important, because at the end of the day, you don't know how long a song is going to live and last. I just finished working on a film. I did some music consulting, and they wanted to use the ink spots. I don't want to catch the world on fire. Now that thing, I thought, it's been around forever. It's almost in the public domain. Unfortunately, that thing is used so much in so many movies. It took like 2 months to clear it, and it cost $40,000 for a 3-minute chunk. So that family's getting paid because that thing is being used. So get your music out there, get it copywritten, because you don't know how long it's going to last. It might be in a TV show, it might be on a commercial. These are other ways of getting your music out there as well, we didn't mention before, is look at all the different media options out there that you can possibly license, get it on CSI, whatever it is, just push that angle as well.
So now remember, the registering your song as a songwriter and creator of the material is great, but the publisher is also a separate entity to that equation. So if you're the publisher and the writer, you're getting all the money. But if you're the writer and somebody publishes your material, they own it until you do a deal with them to make sure that you keep a piece of that publishing as well, because the publishing is the money.
Got it. And which brings me to kind of a question here. I know some of the bigger artists, like Rihanna's and some of the Princes, those kind of artists, they have been in control of their masters or their publishing, I'm assuming. How would a new artist get that going before they jump into the game? Is that something, you know what I mean? We want to get that sorted out first.
Think of it like this. If you were the artist and they're coming to you, you're in somewhat of the driver's seat to be able to negotiate that publishing so you can share within that real money. And that's what you want to do, is you want a piece of that. If you can't have it all, because you got to give up some in order for them to help you get bigger, you got to at least take a little piece of it if you can. Because that, like you said, that song could last for 50 years and you still want to get paid from that.
Anything to add, Kemo? So we have the publishing. Let me see. From the audience, you guys have heard the expert advice from our panelists. Are there any questions that anyone here has for our panel? Go ahead, Maurice. Oh, hang on.
They really want everybody to know. Tell a secret, huh?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, now I have to stand up and everything. My back hurt me and thing. Anyways, but there is when you're creating songs, and especially when you're doing a lot of writing. By the way, I have some experience with it out in Toronto and such, writing for Canadian Idol and such like that. But when you're actually writing, I would think towards the sheet music and such, making sure you sign the specific pieces that you've actually contributed to, because there's a lot of times if you don't sign it, they look like, oh, one person did the whole song as opposed to the contributions that you have given within the music as well. So I just wanted to mention that, and towards I think encapsulating what everybody said, and great information, guys, really great. It's creating that value. You have that value. They will pay for the value if they see it as valuable. If you don't show it as valuable, nobody's going to pay it. So you have to make sure that if I'm going to you, I want to make sure that you see this as valuable and valuable enough to actually contribute or pay for it, right? So
and I would say, tacking on to what you said there about value, you got to value yourself as an artist and believe in yourself. So don't throw yourself away. You know, I always say you got to go into any deal, a negotiation, willing to walk away. Because you look at a lot of big artists, and why are they, getting into some sort of legal issue, whether it's Prince or Taylor Swift or whomever it happens to be, Willie Nelson. So many people have been big conflicts with their label because they didn't walk away from a deal that didn't ultimately suit them. They were hungry to get started. Right. They blew up big, and then problems happened. So it's tempting to want to go in there, and if they're flashing lots of big fancy things in your face, just know that the artist percentage, the tiny bit, like if it's 100% of something and you negotiate away your publishing, you negotiate this, your last 5% or so that you own, everything gets paid out of that from a major label deal. The touring, the hotels, the airplanes, all of that. By the time you recoup, you could be like Tony Braxton, broke having done 2 years of touring. So big lesson there. Don't throw yourself away. Just be ready to walk away if the deal doesn't feel good.
One important thing that he said, and it's for everybody to remember, when you do go into a collaboration with somebody, you're writing songs together, make sure that there's an understanding before you leave the room that everybody has signed on to that song, so everybody gets a free piece of that pie. Because so many times, like, oh yeah, I'll sign it later. No, you finish the song, you sign it right then and there, so everybody knows that we all sharing this. Because later you're not going to get that chance. Somebody's not going to be right about it. And that's the people we shoot. No, but I'm just kidding.
No, thanks for that, Henry. Now, Gordon, I had another question, actually. This just popped into my head. You work with EA. Now, my question is, on the gaming world, I know that's a big market. And in the last few years, maybe a decade or so, I've been noticing that hip-hop especially has been kind of infiltrating into the video game sector, especially with some of the big title franchises like GTA and those kind of things. How hard is it, or easy, depending on the product that you have, for a new artist or up-and-comer to kind of get into that? Is there a certain channel that you go through? How do we get into that kind of digital arena?
Yeah, that's a good question. Depends on the company. So EA is a large company.
It's huge, yeah.
So we've got a music office in LA, and we don't take unsolicited stuff. So we want Drake for FIFA, we go get Drake.
Got it.
Whomever. So, but there is a large amount of hip hop and globally, as you mentioned, and the FIFA soundtrack's the biggest compilation in the world.
Right.
Every year, that thing's curated to such where artists won't even sign to labels in Europe unless they can get onto that soundtrack.
Right.
So I would say, look to see like different levels of game companies. There's lots of independent. Vancouver's a hub, so you're lucky. There's lots of independent game companies that are on tight budgets and so on. Just go on to Game Industry Dev Biz, one of those sites, check out all of the local companies, make a connection, go to meetups. As Kemo said, you got to be able to hang. You got to get your face
network.
out there, make some networking. And lots of people get a song onto a game, and that game can be heard by millions of people, more so than radio or streaming or anything else.
Yes, because that's a huge
It's
industry.
a huge industry. It's bigger than anything.
And as far as local versus international, is there anything we need to worry about as an artist and our material, or does our copywriting through SoCan cover the international? Like a song blows up, you don't know if it's going to blow, but it blows and it goes international. It's played in Europe or Africa or anywhere. Do we have to worry about that copyright issue, or does SoCan kind of manage the international side of that?
Yeah, SoCan covers a certain amount, but there's other websites and companies like Sound Exchange, for
Right.
example, that
You need to register with, right?
that it's another kind of source to kind of get your music collected and stuff.
Okay.
And I think they're a little more global, that company.
Got it. So in general then, for a new artist, we're going to have, I guess, for North America, let's say, I'm thinking SoCan, ASCAP, BMI, for the most part. Maybe the Caribbean and some Latin America. But as soon as you step out of that region, we go into like maybe Africa and other parts of the world and Latin America, you have to look for other agencies to kind of track your records. Is there a resource online, actually, for new artists that we can kind of go to check for younger gaming companies, smaller companies, performance hubs, even I don't know if they have A&Rs like in the old days, you know what I mean, where the labels will send out scouts to kind of look for talent. They don't do that stuff anymore. Most people are looking for them. So is there any kind of, channels that we can go through for that?
Yeah, I would say register for SoCan. That's a given. They're there for you. It's a tax dollar at work, and they're connected to the international agencies like CSAC in France and so on. So that's a good resource right there, and just exploit those channels.
Okay.
And then beyond that, you have to sort of target a market. If you say, I want to go after commercials,
Right.
or TV shows, then you got to basically look to see, okay, what TV shows are in production, look at the production companies, how do I then license? And then there's services that'll do music placements. So there's tons I don't even know the names of them. There's so many, you can see them online, you can see them in magazines. And they were like, register your song with us, and we're going to push it into these venues, and they will go and they'll try to see if they can land your song into like a TV show or something like that.
Okay.
So it's one of those things, they don't get paid unless they
land
do
the deal.
something. So, it's one of those things it might be worth looking into.
So those are good services that we have. And last thing though, I noticed Henry mentioned earlier that he had a guitar pick with a QR code. I'm trying to find it now. I had it here. We're gonna have some to show you guys. And I'm looking at it right now. You probably won't be able to see it on camera. I don't know if we can bring it up on the screen. Can you see it? I thought this was very cool. And I'm gonna get Henry here. You guys can take a look at this. Right, so you have a guitar pick, and he's managed to put, I'll show you the other side. You got it? So he's managed to put his likeness on it, and as well as a QR code. Now, Henry, can you just give us a little bit more on this idea? I think it's really cool.
Well, what is the QR code gives you everything. So if you go and it takes you right to my site. So you get to find out where we're playing, you get to see all the videos, you get to see the interviews, you get to see everything that we're doing, all the gigs that are coming up. And this is like my information piece. So instead of giving out business cards, I give you a pick. If you're at the show, you're gonna want the pick because we're talking about music. So everything we do has to have some kind of value to it that brings people back to your brand. So keep branding yourself as much as you can so that you can keep getting that following. Because once you've got enough, believe me, they will come looking for you.
So it's all about building your brand. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways from today. Building your brand, making sure all your copyright and your publishing is organized before you put that product out there. Make sure you have it's called an EPK. Make sure your EPK is always designed and is set up, and then you have a package that can be marketed. Right, I just want to thank everyone. And firstly, is there any more questions? Let me go out to the audience.
Hi, gentlemen. Sorry, my voice is gone. I was here all day yesterday as well. I appreciate you, gentlemen, taking the time to come on and educate us all. I'm representing my brand, which is Pure Entertainment. We're a black-owned record label here in Vancouver. We're getting out and about. Been 2 years grinding. Got a beautiful studio
Nice.
up in North Van. Everybody's welcome. My question to you is my industry as a record label dying? Do you see a possibility that would happen? Or are you seeing how we're just another, or everything else is just another extension of us. Because I'm here to give people opportunity, right? Opportunity to, if they can't afford studio time, podcast time, great recording, everything, because I offer everything, right? Of course, you know how that works in the contract, blah, blah, blah. But my question to you is, am I in a dying industry, or am I here to help provide a service for Vancouver/Canadians to get ahead and get their dreams started? You don't need to go to Toronto. You don't need to go to LA, because what they're offering, guess what? I'm offering right here in Vancouver.
Here, here. Yeah,
No, I would say like not. You might find someone with some real talent, and they might not have those abilities to kind of get themselves through the door or be cool with people. They might be awkward or weird. So that's where you come in, you know, and you provide that ability to connect this really talented person to other people that need to help his career, right? Because he might be like really awkward and doesn't know how to talk to people or relate or just, you know what I'm saying? So like, sometimes the most talented are the most awkward people.
One of the biggest things is that I don't think the record label thing is how it was, of course, before. But to me, it's not really a label anymore. It's a great management company. Unless you're backed by one of the majors, and you have distribution with your record company, with Sony or whatever, who has that big leg to arm to cover it everywhere. To me, you're a great management company to be able to manage artists and bring them in and help them out get to that next level. Because if you want to make the money, at some point, if you really want to get in it, you're gonna either have to build that brand big enough or get to one of those majors who can blanket the world.
Yeah, and I would just add one more thing onto that. That's a very hot topic. What is the role of a label? It's not traditionally what it was. Back in the day, a label was essential. When records cost $250,000 on average, you needed to go to a big studio with lots of musicians and lots of gear. Now, on a laptop, you can do production on a laptop that 7, 8, 10 years ago would have been impossible. And the quality, I mean, this guy here, he's producing amazing music, and you don't need to go into big studios anymore. So that's a whole shift in economics and accessibility. So you're in a great position today because, what we've all had to go through, setting up our own studios, our own thing to try to get to record even, you needed a label. Now you don't need that. So that's gone. So it's really coming down to the talent and the connection, the schmoozing. That's your job too, is to make sure you've got connections so that your artist, as awkward as they may be, or as inexperienced, you can open those doors for them. So it's critical that you become, as Henry said, more of a manager, door opener for that person. The concept of a label where you need this money to record and promote and all that, with the web, with YouTube, with technology, that's been lowered a lot.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer, Gordon. We have another question?
Yes, good morning. Thank you all so much for this panel.
Thank you.
And also, I am actually kind of honored to be here this morning because in many ways, I've worked with all three of you. And this is an opportunity to come back and say thank you for opening doors, answering questions, taking time. Some of us going way back. I know that when I first started as an artist, Henry, you encouraged me. You just happened to be at a space that I was performing at, and watching you, how you diversified, how to build your brand by going overseas, encouraged me to do the same. In doing that, and in Kemo, I mean, we go back like Cadillac chairs. It's hip hop, right? It's the independent label route, being your own label, knowing how to control everything from that day one, dollar one, and the schmooze. Being in those spaces, sometimes it's not just about the music, it's about the person, which brings me to EA. Being a hip hop artist who was just in the room having those conversations, I ended up doing voice characters for Def Jam Vendetta, NBA Street, and it's getting in the room. And so it's not about what is the one thing you want to do, it's about if you're an artist, be an artist. And so my question to you today is, because I feel like the industry's now starting to catch up to where a lot of our drive when we first started was at, moving into the world of NFTs and online and tech, and I'm really into augmented reality right now and expanding our entertainment that way. Where do you see yourselves playing in that role, both locally and internationally, and with the placement of our work product around the world?
Well, I
I
can jump in here because I'm deeply in that space. So my work at EA is about forward thinking. You know, what does it look like from AI generated music, which is kind of creepy right now. It's getting insane, to virtual worlds, augmented worlds. You know, I always tell people the video game industry is vast. The potential is vast. As I said, it dwarfs the music and the film industry combined. The amount of people that are playing games constantly for millions and billions and billions and billions of hours a week. If your song is in there, this is like I said, when the FIFA FC soundtrack gets the most listened to soundtrack in the world because everywhere on the planet somebody's listening to that work. I'm not too on top of the NFT side of things, but it comes down to digital rights management. For those who don't know, that's being able to meta tag your digital piece of work so that it's identifiable as yours wherever it goes in the world as a digital fingerprint. That's super important. It is an opening field. It's worth looking into. And as far as the augmented world and that environment goes, whether it's Fortnite or Roblox or any virtual environment, the metaverse, it's very exciting and there are opportunities there. But the fundamentals, the underpinning fundamentals are still the same. You still need to create, you still need to protect, register. Now there's digital fingerprinting, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. So I look at it as a opening, in a way, of a whole new potential of where music can be heard and where you can get your music out, versus how things have been kind of closing in. You know, if you look at the industry on the whole, it feels like it's been closing in, and the gas has been dialing down. Yeah, I see an opportunity here where if you're savvy and you can jump into it, it's still a blue ocean. There's very few people actually knowing how to exploit that world.
Good answer. No, that made me think. You have a response?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, if we knew what to do and what's coming, we'd all be on it. So we all have to just be aware, alert, and look at what's going on so you can kind of get a chance or get an opportunity to have a little advantage from others that are not doing the homework. So if you're doing the homework and you're finding out how we can get this exploited or how we can do this so that when those waves come, you're already prepared for it. If you don't prepare and you don't do your homework, you're going to be left behind.
I just wanted to jump in here because this AI topic is a very interesting topic. And I've been on the internet and I've seen a couple of, I guess, TikTok videos or shorts where there's AI voice and it sounds like a very popular rapper. So for me as an artist, I think this is like a red flag, perhaps, because now I'm thinking for the larger companies, such as yourself, I'm assuming when they want to hire an artist now, is there a chance now that they can be going to AI generated type of music, right? To supply their demands. Is that an option? Because of course the budget is immense, so they have the power to do these kinds of things.
Yeah. So that's opening up a whole new world.
Can of worms. Yeah.
So yes, the AI stuff has gotten. I've been following it for the last 6 years. In the last 4 months, it's exploded to the point where, as an experiment, I've generated just from prompts and stuff, different styles of music and played it for people. And they didn't know it wasn't a real artist and a real production.
That's a scary thought.
But having said that, as far as the legalities of it goes, you can't release that because on whether it's Suno or Udio, they've scraped the internet and they've scraped hundreds and hundreds of hours of music that doesn't belong to them. So you can't legitimately use that content for anything.
Okay.
Unless it gets actually the artist's permission. So here's a new thing. I'm going to sort of leave it here because that's a whole other conversation. Is as an artist, there's two options. So whether you're a voice actor or a music, when you're thinking about the deals that are coming down the pipe, it's going to be not just you, but also you as data. So someone may say, hey, great, I love your songs or I love your voice or whatever. Now, you want to come in and do a recording, and you also want to sign this deal that says, I'm going to pay you X amount, and you're giving me the permission to use your voice or use your music as part of generating AI data. And there's a really great YouTube video, if you haven't seen it, of Wyclef Jean with Microsoft Music Sandbox. It's a Google Music Sandbox.
Right.
And he plays a little bass line or riff on his guitar, feeds it into their AI system, and says, "Now give me Brazilian Haitian accompaniment for this," and it basically plays expert Brazilian Haitian accompaniment to his bass line. And the way he says is that he used to be digging in the crates. He says like pulling out loops and stuff to put into his music. Now he considers this tool infinite crates, where you can basically say, I want to have this, and this, and here's my line. Now add to stuff, and he'll take that and chop it and sample it and create something new from that. So I don't look at it as the end of the industry. It's a start of a new type of music for artists, where hopefully you can use the AI as a tool to help you even develop more music and music ideas.
Very good. I'm looking at it from production standpoint. That's a really cool aid for producers to make music and make tracks. And I'm thinking for what about for distribution now? What we have, I'm thinking like as an independent, because I'm always looking to be, for the artist to try to be independent at some degree. What is the biggest challenge as far as being independent? I'm thinking about distribution. That comes to mind, right? Because as an independent artist, you need to get your music out there, but you're not signed to a major company or a major label. Is that the way? I mean, I know there's all the other options, but for some of us who want to stay independent, is there a way to approach labels to get distribution deals? Is there like a funnel or a channel that you can approach them for that, or that's just they come to see you type of situation? The floor is open.
Well, I mean, distribution's simple, right? There's so many websites that will distribute your music, but marketing is a whole other thing, right?
Got it.
Without money, there's no marketing. So it's like, the marketing that's the label now. That's the label's job. Like, most artists don't have that money to spend on marketing. And yeah, distribution is the simplest part of.
So basically, you have to have the marketing engine in place almost before the marketing set up and your followers and the whole thing set up before you go and approach for the distribution deal, even if you have a hot record.
Yeah, because anybody can release their music now. They have so many TuneCores and United Masters. There's so many of those things that will distribute your music, but who's gonna hear your music? You gotta promote it. You gotta have somebody who's gonna either get behind you, the record label over here, to put the money behind it to promote the record so that everybody knows where you are. It's easy to put it out there, but who's gonna hear it?
And remember, most distribution is primarily streaming, if you're looking as an independent. So you're not making a dime. You're making like a fraction of a penny. So forget about making money from actually your music being played. Mm-hmm. It is all about the marketing. It's about getting people aware and getting people to your shows.
And the merch.
And the merch.
And the merch is a huge part.
And for any artist that I've seen that has some success, it doesn't come overnight. You know what I mean? Like these guys have been grinding. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're talking 5, 6, 7 years into it of actually doing good, and then like every year, and consistency is so key. These guys are putting out like 2 to 3 projects a year, and projects being like a full album or an EP. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 to 3 of these.
That sounds fairly prolific. 2 to 3 projects a year.
It's all about consistency, and I mean, I kind of use this term loosely, like quantity over quality on some levels, because that's what we're dealing with nowadays.
Numbers game.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the same as the 90s. It's just consistency, and like, yeah, if you're dope, hopefully you're dope on all those records for all those years, right? And because that's how long it takes for you to get to that point of where you're actually, people want to give you money for shows and.
Got it. So thank you so much for that, Kemo. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
I got one question.
Go on.
I was kind of piggybacking off the AI and tech question as it pertains to blockchain technology. The industry has worked from a centralized place for so long, and I think we're seeing that it needs to be more decentralized for independent artists to make money. Are we seeing, like, I just saw like Wu-Tang, for example, they put out like, it's kind of like an NFT deal, but creating an ecosystem around yourself using new technology so that maybe you can crowdsource your marketing by building a brand online where most people are. So I don't know if you had any thoughts around blockchain being a leverage tool for people to develop their brand and develop maybe the assets or the capital to be able to make themselves more sustainable as an artist in the industry.
It's still like anything. If you don't have, any Wu-Tang, anybody who's had a brand already, they're already ahead of the game. They've already got a following. They've already got a network of people who are going to buy whatever they do. So it doesn't matter. You still have to figure out how to get your brand to enough people that you're going to actually do something.
Word. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Henry. I'm going to throw it one more time to the audience. Do we have any other questions for our panel? Yep. Go ahead, Michael.
Morning, gents. So Clavia and I have been trying to put together, I'd say, artist showcase.
Can you talk a little bit louder? Yeah.
Yeah, Clavia and I have been trying to put together artist showcase for local artists here in Vancouver. When it comes down to individual legacy, how have you guys been working towards maintaining your legacy in your industries or in your specific niches?
The heavy coach. Go for it, Henry. Go for it.
No, but to maintain it, okay? I've been in the industry 40 years, all right? I'm still making picks, releasing music. I'm doing everything because I still enjoy it with a passion like I started when I was 10. You know what I mean? And you just got to keep going until you can't go anymore if you're going to do it. If you're a lifer, you're a lifer. I'm not waiting for nobody to do a deal for me. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm going to continue to just keep enjoying my journey and releasing as much music as I can and being everywhere I can. You see me here today because I'm going to try to make sure that you remember me when I leave here, okay? That's how it works.
Yeah, and I would say tacking on to that, legacy is what you leave behind. So you don't want to stop. Kemo just talked about it as well, is consistency, just making stuff like just prolific. You know, I look at the artists that I love, like Prince. They still can't dig through the back end of his vaults. He just made music 24/7. Some good, some indifferent, some bad, whatever it happens to be. But you just keep doing stuff. So the legacy falls out the back end. The minute you stop doing something, the legacy ends. So if you keep at it, just keep at it. Change venues. I mean, you know, I worked with Henry forever, and we've got the same song rearranged many different times on many different mediums, from albums, cassette tapes, 8-track tapes, CDs, DVDs, streaming, whatever new technology comes along to play music, we'll just take that and convert it and make sure that people are hearing it in whatever means they can.
Kemo, anything to add?
I think it's like Henry said, like, as long as you have that love for it, you're gonna keep doing it, right? And as long as you have the ability to kind of make money off it and hustle, and yeah, that's it.
Well, you see, now I've been hearing you guys and I've learned so much from just this small session. But one of the big takeaways I got from this is you have to love what you do. Like, you have to do, I mean, I know there's people that are motivated by money. They want to make money. Maybe there's some clicks on the internet that they want to get or something like that. But it seems to me from a musician standpoint, you have to love what you do because you got to get up every day and go grind, go meet people, go network, go build your brand. And it's not an easy hustle, especially in this digital age where we have artists coming out of the woodworks every 30 seconds. So I think the big takeaway that I took from this panel today is you have to love what you do. You have to get up and go at it every day consistently. Make sure that you start on the right foot as far as your publishing, the legalities of your art. And I just think, I mean, make sure we have talent here. We have resources in the city. There are people that have been doing it for a long time, and I'm sure there's some online resources that we can make available. But I think just being part of the community as well and networking is one of the biggest ways that you can expand your I guess your repertoire as an artist and to expand your reach. So from me to my panel, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming out to take the time out of your busy schedules. Go for it, Henry.
I have one last thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, let's go.
I work as a working musician my whole career, and I've been able to, don't be afraid to leave your comfort zone in your city to make money. My biggest money is not in Vancouver. They pay me more money to go to Southeast Asia to play music for them than anywhere else. So it doesn't matter where it is. Whoever wants to hear your music and they want to pay you the money, I'm on the plane. going to make some music and let some more people hear me all over the world. So don't be afraid to leave your comfort zone to go get that money and get that fan base.
Thank you so much for that, Henry. Once again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to our panel. I want to really thank our panelists for sharing their wisdom and their experience with us. And hopefully you guys can enjoy the rest of the show, take your time, talk to the vendors, move around, support the artists and the vendors as well. And again, thank you guys for taking the time to be with us this morning. Cheers.
Give him a big round of applause for putting this all together. Some love.
Yeah.